Hello, beautiful people. Anyone here in the chat? I don't see yet. Yeah, so here we are, and I just wanted to let you know it is so good to be back home here with all of you. Hi, Todd, who's right there. Hi, Core Scorpy. Hey, hi, Lisa. Oh, I love having you guys here with me. And I thought this would be a really way to, share what's going on and maybe help support anyone else that might be going through a difficult time. So, like I started to say, it is really good to be back home here and be here with all of you. So, thank you for tuning in today. I'll just kind of share a little recap. If you've been following me, you might already know these things, but if not, I just wanted to give you a recap that Todd and I were on vacation in Georgia, and we were there for a family weekend extravaganza, which was really fun. And then we went off to Texas to hang out with our daughter and grandson when we got a call from my uncle telling me that someone had reached out to him regarding my estranged father, who I hadn't seen in 18 years, and that my dad was in hospice and he was having kidney failure, as well as he was diagnosed with a very rare form of dementia. And our family had not heard from my father in years, so not just me, but extended family. So, but over the last handful of years, I often wondered like if he was okay, how he was doing. But I was unsuccessful in finding his whereabouts. So until that call, I just want to look in here and say hi to Janet. She's going to do her potluck. Well, enjoy it. Yes, and oh, hello, Apple a Day. It's so good to have you. Hi, John Riley. Yeah, these are some veggies. He says, "Wow, look at all the veggies," and they're what keeps me going, right? That's what keeps all of us going. And let's see. Apple a Day says, "I'm estranged from my family too." Yeah, it's a hard place to be. Just my dad is who I was disconnected with, and he was disconnected with, the extended family. So we were supposed to be heading back to Arizona when I got that call, but instead we changed our flight and we headed off to Illinois, where it was freezing. When we got there, we went straight to the hospital with our luggage and everything, and then we wanted to see my dad. When we walked in there, he was on a morphine drip, and he was unresponsive, except when he moved a little bit, or he would begin to like breathe a little faster when I spoke to him. So I believe, and I think Todd believes too, that he knew we were there, that I was talking to him. And his birthday was the following day, and he did end up passing away later on that day. He passed away on his 90th birthday. So bittersweet. I just want to take a second and say hi to Chill Caperton. Thank you so much for being here. So good to have everybody here. But at any rate, I wanted to share how I'm doing. What I'm doing, and how I'm honoring myself while dealing with grief. So I was thinking that it might help someone out there, because this is my first loss that I have had like this close to me. This is the first person that I actually watched take his last breath, So anyways, it was good to come home. We were greeted by our son and Remy with open arms, and it felt really amazing. Todd and I came home and immediately began playing catch up on our work. So actually, I took the first day or so, and I was just doing laundry. Oh my gosh, we had so much laundry, and I was super tired, and my sleep was not good, and there was part of me that I still wanted to be in that room with my dad. I still wanted that first day that we were there. That was like the best day of the 2 days that we were with him. And I just, wanted that. So what I did was, I just want to take a second and say, oh, hi, Chef Valerie Wilson. So good to have you here. Welcome. And hi, John Jew. It's good to have you here. This was very hard to share. So, yes, yes. Chef Valerie Wilson says it's hard to share. It really is hard to share, but I do it because I want to, first of all, I want to help others. And it helps me to have a strong community. So, and Gina S., so sorry for your loss. Thank you. I appreciate it. I got some Kleenex here just in case. I can pass them out if anybody needs some, but hopefully we'll do okay. I've been doing okay. Anyways, so we got home and I cleaned out the refrigerator. I bought fresh food and I just tried to begin getting back into the regular routine, right? My regular routine consisted of, exercise and working on the bundle, which is coming out soon. A little teaser. I'm excited to be a part of that for the first time. So, also, I had to adjust to the time change because they have a different time. Not anything crazy, but still unpack and then figure out what I want to eat because that's the thing that I do. I wanted to do my push-ups. I was doing my push-ups every day and I had stopped for a little. I did it on the trip, but those last days in Illinois, I didn't. I wanted to lift weights, do yoga. I wanted to take a bath and just like love myself, however it felt right in the moment. So I was focusing on that. So I personally have never been to any type of group or therapist for a loss of a loved one. For other things, maybe yes, but not for the loss of a loved one. So I don't know what the right things are to do. But I'll tell you, I have received so many messages from people on my Facebook, text messages, my YouTube channel. I've gotten some cards in the mail, phone calls, so much love. And those messages have been extremely helpful to me. Some have been very supportive, and some were sharing like what I should be doing before he passed. Like, tell him everything that you have on your mind and things like that. And I listened and I paid attention, and I want you to know all of those things, all of that love and support and prayers played a role. And to this point in helping me in ways that I had no idea I was even going to need or want. So I want to take a second to thank you all, anyone who has reached out in any form, or who's watched my posts and who have let me know that I have love and prayers and friendship and more here. I appreciate it. So yeah, let's check the chat and then we're gonna move on. So let's see what we have here. John Real, does Chef Valerie know Chef AJ? Well, Chef Valerie says yes. And she's also going to be part of the bundle. And yes, it's going to be exciting. Oh, you do yoga almost every day, says Chef Valerie Wilson. Apple a day. I commend you for sharing this. We're very unpracticed with grief and mourning in our society. My heart goes out to you. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. And Chef Valerie Wilson says, you need to take care of yourself. Thank you. And sometimes it takes something big like this for us to take a step back and realize we got to look at things again and make sure that we're doing the best we can for ourselves. So Apple a Day says, there is no right thing. Your process will be what you need. Thank you. Because I don't know. I sometimes think that there are certain ways that you're supposed to do things, but for me, I didn't know what that was, and I don't want to figure it out, So thank you. It's nice to know that I have your support. Serenity Blooms. Oh, she's sending lots of love. Thank you. It's so good to have you here. So I just want to go and say, how do I continue to stay on track with whole food, plant-based, sofas and gluten-free lifestyle when I'm dealing with the loss of my dad? If you're not familiar, sofas is salt, oil, flour, alcohol, sugar, and gluten-free. And that's another story. But I want to know, like, how. The question is, how do I do that? Has it been easy? How am I making it work? Where am I finding the energy or desire to continue when sadness and grief seem easier sometimes to lay in it, So those are the things I want to touch on. So if you have ever dealt with grief and would like to share how you handled things or are handling things regarding self-care and eating for health and wellness, please put it in the chat and share with me and the rest of us if you're comfortable with that. I know I would welcome all the raw, honest, loving support from you, and it might just help someone. So like we started to say about the right thing to do, whatever. I know that there are steps of grief that people go through. I've heard of, these steps, but that is not what I want to talk about today. So I don't want to know that I'm in the second step of the grief or whatever. I want to just feel what I feel, think what I think. I want to eat what I eat and love myself and give myself time to experience whatever I need to experience during this time. So I was doing good until I'm not doing good.
Okay.
I'm doing okay. All right. So besides the first day or two, I did some resting in the laundry and some work and grocery shopping. I was thinking that I do not believe I'm allowing myself to grieve. And so I was asking myself that question, are you allowing yourself to grieve? And then I thought, no, I don't think so because I'm so busy. But at the same time, I'm acknowledging my feelings when they come up. I cry, I laugh, I remember, I'm even dreaming. I dream about things and I think about old, new, and recent times together. I've talked to some family and friends. My husband has been here the whole time through walking through this with me and being available for me without me even giving him any warning sometimes. So he's always like that. And I appreciate all that he does for me. I do, Todd. I appreciate everything. So let's talk about food. Let's actually look in the chat. So Jill says, don't should on yourself. Okay. I will listen to you. And Apple a Day says, I'm grieving a loss right now too. I'm so sorry. I'm sending you big love and hug and support. And like you, I'm taking it very gently and paying close attention to my, see, it seems like the natural thing to do, doesn't it? I mean, good for you. And I'm here, if you ever want to reach out, I'm here for you. Not to fix it, just to be here. Lisa says, you're lucky to have Todd there to help you through this. Yes. And my son as well, and my dog, and all of you. But, Todd was there in person through the whole experience. And so anyways, okay. So let's talk about food. I always love to talk about whole food, plant-based, and, the lifestyle that it offers. I know what it offers me are, I get low inflammation. I have calm, stable brain, strong immune system, things like that. But, is that enough when I'm having feelings of loss and sadness and anger? And, the anger, I think, is from missing out on all the time when I didn't know where he was. Yeah, I don't feel that way every single minute or every day. So since returning home, I have learned of some things that I'm not going to go into right now regarding my dad, and very upsetting, uh, very upsetting things to learn. And so I immediately found myself like reacting. I found myself in the pantry. Yeah, in the pantry where we have non-compliant food. I have Halloween candy in there. I even have vegan lollipops for the grandkids. They have a shelf in there, so when they come over, we have non-compliant food in our freezer, and we have 3 freezers, refrigerators, 2 refrigerators, and my family eats it. There's bread. We have tortilla chips, so and so on. And nor it usually doesn't bother me at all. I'm usually very happy with knowing the direction and what I want and how I feel, but I found myself in the pantry. I found myself looking in the freezer and wanting to self-soothe with food that I know isn't real food. It isn't my food. Um, so I'll tell you, I even took out a candy, a little candy. I took it out. Um, I smelled it. I toyed with it. I opened the wrapper. I did. I examined it. I didn't want to take the time to analyze or ask myself what I sometimes say to people, like, ask yourself, why are you doing this? I didn't want to do that because I was mad, because I was feeling frustrated, because I was not allowing myself to understand what was happening. I was reacting, and what did I want to do? I wanted to eat it. Why did I want to eat it? It's not even real food. I know that. And now I can say that I feel like the 1 minute of satisfaction that I remember it had given me in the past was what I was looking for. So luckily for me, I ended up putting it down the garbage disposal and walking away. So I felt mad. I was frustrated. Because I wanted a quick fix for my feelings. But I did luckily realize this is not the way for me. So I allowed myself to feel those feelings, and I took a day or two to revisit my emotional connection. That's my why. That's what I call it. I had to take time to revisit that. And I thought about, how far I've come, the direction I'm heading, and also allowed myself the grace to be human, and to show you I'm human like the rest of you, you know. So then I refocused and I started making big salads with beautiful colors and big, beautiful green smoothies. I juiced, I did some fun veggies, and then I added a serrano pepper with all the seeds, which I never do, to offer me a bit of spice in my mouth, and I went and played in the park with my other grandbabies. I walked the dog. I enjoyed nature. I looked at the sky. Guys, you got to look at the sky. When you go outside, look at the sky. I love looking at the sky. I enjoyed little bits of rain because it had rained one of the days, even though we're always sunny here. Smelled the flowers, and I did appreciate my sense of smell, which was another reminder because I haven't always had it. I had lost my sense of smell for many years due to chronic problems with sinus disease, and I can smell now. And so I wanted to honor all those things instead of focusing on something that I know is just going to complicate things. So I realized we all do go through loss at one time or another because it is part of the cycle of life, right? And it's just my turn to lose my dad. Whew. So I've actually often felt like I had already lost him. But this is different, knowing he doesn't walk on the earth anymore. Instead of knowing that he's out there somewhere, um, but just out of my reach, not knowing. So there are things I can do. Should I read the chat?
Sure.
Okay. Let me read the chat. Beth Waldron, so good to have you here. She says, lost my mom a month ago. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. And I'm finding I am having an aversion to some foods. I'm trying to stay eating healthy when I have an appetite. Thank you for sharing that. It's true. Things that we wouldn't, we are so strong and we do things a certain way, and then something catches us off guard. I'm here for you. I'm here for anybody that I can be in any way. And I appreciate you sharing that with me. And so Jill says, good for you, Jennifer. Core Scorpy had some, he put a lollipop. Serenity Bloom is saying hello. Chef Valerie Wilson, fantastic that you can smell now. Oh, thank you. Yes. Yes. I mean, even my nose is running right now, but it is a miracle. It is a wonderful gift. Core Scorpy says, we love you, Jennifer. Chef Valerie says, sending you love. Thank you. Jill says, Jennifer, you are loved. I appreciate it. John Riley says, we lost my mom during COVID. That was tough during COVID. I'm sorry for your loss, John. It's something that I think is important to share about. I'm here for you, and thank you everybody for the love. I'm sending it back to all of you. I appreciate it. So I'm going to talk about now, like things I can do, things you can do, things we can do. So things that I can do, I was thinking about, realize that grief isn't something that comes and goes, it's not a quick thing, right? It takes time. I mean, it can come in waves, but it takes time. It takes a lot of time. And I have to allow myself the space, allowing myself to feel whatever I feel, embrace it. I want to own my feelings and allow myself to know and understand, why am I feeling this? So things I can do, or you can do, is I know I can journal, right? People can journal. You can do artwork, reach out to family and friends, talk about things like we're doing here, because I believe and I've learned that companionship is so important. This community, my whole food plant-based community, online, in person with my potlucks and people that I know, is support that I know that I can benefit from. So if I realize someone or something isn't helping me, I want to also be strong enough to acknowledge that, maybe talk to them about it, and let them know this made me feel this certain way, not in an attack way, in just a way that honors myself, or maybe redirect myself to something that might be healthier mentally, physically, emotionally. Some other things. I want to try new recipes. I want to hike new hiking trails and learn new skills. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a new skill like painting glass. I am going to be doing that later this week. A friend of mine who has many artistic talents, and working with glasses. One of them invited me to join her. And so if you're interested, I can show you what that looks like when it's done, even if it doesn't look so great. But, just doing something fun and different. Even being in the bundle, it's allowed Todd and I to learn so many new things, and it keeps my mind busy and focused on, on my gift of life and good health. So I was thinking I might begin a new ritual to honor my dad. Maybe you might want to do that for your loved one. Whenever I want to be close to him. So I was thinking I could make myself some chocolate and ice cream. Why did I pick chocolate and ice cream? So that's what I understood he wanted as part of his celebration for his 90th birthday. Well, I mean, actually, he said chocolate ice cream. I heard secondhand, the weeks prior to him going, that he was saying that one of the things that he wanted was chocolate ice cream. But I would have chocolate and ice cream. And I actually had a little bit in the freezer. So when we got home, I did have some when I got here to honor him. And I was thinking maybe that would be a nice thing to have once in a while. So I was thinking I could even scoop him some in a separate cup or a little container and have it sit with me at the table or outside. We eat outside a lot. While I eat mine and think about a great memory, because I would be eating food that fuels me while feeling close to him. So anyone can do something like that. Does anyone do that or something like that? If so, what do you do? Or maybe what have you done? So Apple a Day says, rituals during morning are powerful. Ooh, okay. Trust your intuition. Thank you. It's so weird. Yeah, because this is not anything that I heard before. I just was thinking about it. Very good advice. Are you doing that, Apple a Day? You don't have to share if you don't want to, but you can. So sometimes being near people or knowing people are near is enough support. I don't feel like I need anyone to, fix anything or say the perfect right thing. Just being in the same room with people that I know love me, care about me, and I like to do the same for them. And I see, Apple a Day said yes. Oh, good for you. Yeah, that's awesome. Marilyn Dubin, hello and welcome. Sending you love and support. Thank you so much. And Lisa says, after losing my mother-in-law last summer, I found that I felt closest to her when I was in the garden. I'd imagine her telling me what to do like she used to. Yeah. So for you, going to the garden and maybe, I don't know, chomping on a carrot. Apple a Day. I talk to the one I lost and include her in the evening ritual we use to share. Oh, I love it. That's wonderful. It's beautiful. Grief can affect people regarding food. Some might not want to eat, right? Some might want to binge. Some might want to use it as an excuse to begin old behaviors, looking for something, right? Like I started to look for something, but I know better, luckily. So I want to share something about that. So I can remember our youngest daughter, when she's a grown-up, she has her own family, but when she was about 3 or 4 years old, she was staying with a good friend of mine with my other kids, and my friend also had 6 children. So there were a lot of kids there, and they were all playing, and they were roughhousing, and my daughter broke her arm. So my girlfriend reached out to me. She couldn't get a hold of me, and then as soon as I returned the call, my friend said that she had offered our daughter watermelon and that our daughter ate it and she seemed all right. Okay. set that aside. My other daughter recently, as a grown-up, I was talking to her on the phone, and her son was upset. He came in the room, the little one. He was upset about something. He was crying to his mom, and my daughter asked him if he was okay, if he would like some cut up strawberries. And he said, I could hear in the background, yeah. And he kind of stopped crying. And I was thinking, maybe you were offered donuts or soda or cookies when you were a kid to feel better, right? We all have done that or have received that. I know I have on both ends. And so I just thought that was interesting. Food, how we use food. And so now if the pain is strong enough, you might want to soothe yourself through a grieving period with something that you might remember was the perfect solution, like when you were a kid, like when I was a kid, like I see it happening now. You know, we thought my daughter's arm was fine, but it turned out it was broken. But she was okay, eating the watermelon. And anyways, any thoughts about that, I would love to hear. So I've been learning that grief affects your body and in the brain, in the heart, and in the immune system, believe it or not. And I want to share about that. But before we do that, I was hoping to bring Todd in just because he has, Todd, you want to come in?
Sure.
He's had a loss. And so here he is.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, sweetie.
Hi, baby.
Hi. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So, I'm going to still talk about some other things, but your dad, my father-in-law, passed away.
Yeah.
And today
is the 5-year anniversary.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
And so I just thought maybe if you wanted to share, because everybody expresses things and does things in a different way. If you wanted to share anything about the experience or what you do or what, any rituals, anything that you might want to share to honor your dad or talk about the experience, because it was different than the experience that we had with my dad.
It was, he had already passed by the time we got to the hospital where he was.
He passed while we were in flight there.
Yeah, but he always did things on his own timeline anyway, so that was appropriate. No, but I mean, it was hard. I internalized it probably way, way, way more than I should have, and probably still do to some extent. But every morning, I speak to him. I tell him about the day before or what's coming up in my day today or whatever's on my mind. And I have his pocket knife from when he was in Boy Scouts. Sits proudly on my desk. I see it every day.
Sits proudly on your desk. Yes, it does. It's right there.
I mean, he was a role model and an inspiration, and taught me a lot about being a man and a father and a husband, and so yeah,
hard worker.
Yeah,
hard worker, but also I can say he taught me a lot of things too, and I miss him too. And he used to, he had a way about prioritizing things.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't work first,
Mm-mm.
but it was work hard.
Yeah.
It was family
first.
Family first.
Yep.
So anyways, if anyone has any questions for Todd, or if you want to share anything more about that, we, how we went through that, or how you're doing now, 5 years later.
I was doing great until about 3 minutes ago when we started talking about it. No, I think.
Why is that? What are you feeling? Because externally, we don't see it.
No, I mean, it's just, now it's, a focal point in the conversation. Whereas sitting back there, I was reading chats and I was listening to you talk. And,
yeah.
all that. So, but I'm doing, I do okay. I don't think this particular day, being the anniversary, is any different than any other day. I mean, we talked a little bit about that, other than the fact that when we were talking about it, then I was like, okay, where was I on this day, and what were we doing at this time, and kind of reliving it, which was less pleasant. But I think in general, what do they say? Time heals all wounds. I think
Does it?
well, so I think there's a difference between mourning and grieving, versus remembering, right? I still remember, and I still honor, and I still cherish the time that we had, but I don't feel the same sense of grief, loss, and mourning that I did initially. And that may be, because, you work through that process, or because I recognize that, I still have him and we talk every day.
You still
I
have
just,
him. Yeah.
can't shake his hand or, do that kind of stuff. So there you have it.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And hopefully that's helpful to somebody out there, different stages, different ways, different experiences, to handle it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you are not one that ate through it.
No,
No.
at the time, I wasn't eating this way at all.
But it wasn't, but you didn't like sit down with
I
a
didn't sit down and
container
start,
of
like,
something.
a gallon of ice cream or anything, or, binge, because I was in, mourning.
So I think what I would say is you would work more.
I did. I worked more.
Yeah.
I tried to bury myself in other things.
So would you recommend people do that?
Not necessarily. I think you go through the process you need to go through to get to where you need to be. Whether that's, as long as it's, healthy, right? I wouldn't suggest that, eating, 12 pounds of hot dogs in a sitting is the way you work through it.
Okay.
But,
You're funny. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And if you want, we can read the chat.
Yep, let's do that.
And then we can keep moving here. Let's see if we have any questions. We read that one. And John Riley says, we did something bad to a watermelon at a party that we had when I was a young adult. We injected vodka into the watermelon. Oh my gosh, that was during my drinking days. Okay. Note to self, if you ever see John Riley carrying a watermelon, ask him if he put anything in it, right? Oh my God. How do you say that? Devika Foreign? Can you read that, Todd?
I think it's a call.
Huh?
A call.
Which a call to your dad. And welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here. What does that mean?
I believe it's Hindi.
Okay. What does it mean?
And
are you looking it up?
I am.
Okay. So you can get back to that.
Yep.
Jill says time cuts the edge of grief. Ooh, that's interesting. Chef Valerie Wilson, thank you, Todd, for sharing. Jill Caperton, off. Diane Times, welcome, Diane. I lost my father in August, sending you hugs, and we're sending it back to you. I am so sorry for your loss, and I am sorry, and you're sorry for my loss, and thank you, and probably for our together, yeah. And so go ahead, tell me what that means.
According to the all-knowing and all-powerful Google, in Sikhism, a call is an epithet for the deity, referring to immortal and timelessness. Referring to
that's kind. Yeah.
Meaning beyond time.
Beyond time to your dad. Thank you. You taught us something. So, so I started to say that I I've been learning a little bit about grief and the effects on the body. Um, uh, I was surprised that it can affect the brain, the heart, and the immune system. I thought I would share a few different ways that it can impact the body. Because it's amazing how everything impacts the body, right? The food, everything. So, okay, so let's talk about the brain. So, I understand that when you first, like when a person first hears about a death, for example, the brain can react and interpret the news by triggering the fight or flight response and freeze. So, an example might be, run away physically, like run away or scream or get angry. I even understand that some people faint. You can shut down, aren't able to communicate. I did not have that response, but it was interesting to learn that in getting ready to talk with you guys. Grief increases cortisol. Now I'm comfortable. I know a little bit about cortisol because I've had mine tested and all kinds of stuff. But grief increases cortisol, which is our body's main stress hormone. Makes sense, right? So did you know cortisol affects the hippocampus area of the brain, which is responsible for the storage and the retrieval of our memories? I cannot, and it cannot allow us to form or retrieve our memories during grief. So that's why I guess there's a lot of times where people are forgetful during grief, or it's difficult to concentrate. Those can be common symptoms of grief. I had no idea. But at the airport, when I was live, I was struggling to articulate and, just concentrate. And so, hey, Jennifer, you were so close to where I am. Oh, you live in Evanston. Wow. Yes, I was. And I will probably be there again at some point. Stay warm. I was freezing. Yes. But your live was inspiring. Thank you, Jill. I'm glad. I just needed to get on with you guys. So another thing I wanted you guys to know, that most of the brain is hidden from awareness, if that makes sense. So in other words, months or years can go by before a certain song or a smell can trigger grief. So smells go to the limbic system, and I'm not super familiar with all these systems, but I do know that it's a system on the hippocampus, which is the area related to emotions and our memories. So that's what I wanted to share about the brain. If anybody wants to share anything, if you know that, it's just interesting to be aware of that. And I see a comment, Jennifer, you are loved and you are love. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Sending it right back out, honestly, truly, right back to you and everybody. Yeah. So now we're going to talk about the heart. So we did a little about what happens in the brain, can happen. That's interesting about memory and responses. And now I can talk about the heart. So how does grief relate to the heart? There's actually a real thing called a broken heart syndrome. People say, oh, you have a broken heart. It's actually a real temporary condition that happens when the heart muscle actually becomes weakened in response to the loss of a loved one. So my understanding, and it's very, very little, is the left ventricle in the heart, which is the main chamber of the heart, can become enlarged and doesn't function properly. So when that happens, it can lead to a decrease in blood flow and a temporary decrease in heart function. And so it's like, how can that happen? Well, it might be caused by a certain surge of adrenaline that prevents the left ventricle from contracting. Also, a surge of adrenaline can also cause the heart to speed up. And then if it goes for too long, it can cause damage to the cells. Isn't that crazy to think that a broken heart can actually really affect you physically too? I mean, it's really crazy. So I want to just check the chat. Apple a Day says, peace to you and everyone. Yes, and you too. And video 1000 nights. So good to have you. Thank you. I'm sorry for your loss. And I appreciate that very much. And I'm glad to have you here with everybody that can be here. So we're going to talk about the next thing that I thought would be interesting, and it's what about our tears? Uh, can grief affect our tears? Well, I guess that there are, and I learned there are 3 types of tears: a basal, a reflex, and emotional tears. Did you know that?
I did not.
So basal tears, they help keep the eyes healthy. So they're like a clear and thin, near the surface kind of tear. The reflex tears are produced when there's an irritant. So if you get smoke or dust in your eyes, sometimes people get irritated with bright lights. And those tears help lubricate and clear all the irritants out using water that we have in the body, electrolytes, enzymes. And then there are the emotional tears. Those are the ones that I've been hanging out with lately. And those are the ones that we have in response to lots of different emotions. So they contain, which I thought was really interesting, they contain high levels of hormones. So when we cry, it can be soothing because it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, and that helps us relax. So when we shed emotional tears, it helps us release endorphins, and that helps us with emotional pain. So emotional tears are like kind of like a natural painkiller, I guess. And that's why it's important to cry when you feel sad and not to hold it in or think that it makes you seem or look weird or not strong or masculine or whatever it is that you may have heard or thought, you know. There's a reason for them. Afterwards we feel better. So how does grief impact our immune system? Loss of a loved one or bereavement can weaken our immune system by causing increased inflammation. And I am always concerned with inflammation because I've had a lot of issues with it. And I'm very sensitive to inflammation. So it supposedly causes changes in the hormones, like such as cortisol, which we mentioned earlier. And according to some research studies, they say if you're grieving, you're more likely to have lower levels of white blood cells. And I thought that was really interesting. And that can increase your chance of getting sick or developing an infection. I even learned that there's a likelihood of vaccines being less effective if that's something that you engage in, if you're grieving, because you're grieving and your body is not making as many antibodies. So don't get me started on vaccines, but um, anyhow, let's talk about appetite. So I mentioned earlier during grieving, we talked about your appetite can change, either having a loss or having an increase in appetite. How come? Well, grief can change the body's production of hormones that regulates our appetite. Hormones play such a huge role in so many things. So when we have an increase in cortisol, then that can increase our appetite. So you can also experience things that will also change your appetite, like feeling nauseous or having stomach problems and So you can lose your appetite, and then there are people that lose weight when they lose their appetite when they're grieving. Doesn't mean they're going to keep it off. That is not the way to lose weight, but it can happen. And so those are just a few ways that grieving can affect us. So the last area I just wanted to touch on is how grief can affect our sleep. And I've been having trouble with sleep. Not every night, but like last night, I didn't sleep very well. And so this was interesting to hear that the body can be experiencing hyper arousal, where the body is in a constant state of feeling awake or alert, and then you can't relax enough to sleep. So when the hormone that we have been talking about, that cortisol hormone, when it's high, it can cause disruption with natural sleep patterns. It can also wake us up often, which is kind of what I've been having. I can fall asleep, but then I wake up often, and then it makes it harder to fall asleep for the same reason I just mentioned. So for me, I woke up at about 2 a.m. and then I was up for an hour and a half before I fell back to sleep. So besides cortisol, you could get a headache, have muscle tension or stomach issues, racing thoughts, all kinds of things, that can disrupt one's sleep. I've been experiencing some racing thoughts through the night, and a few other symptoms, but overall not too bad. So I know for me, I think that it's okay not to be okay when I'm sad or upset about the loss of my dad, And I think that we all, during grief, have to allow ourselves the experience of whatever it is our body needs or wants to do, and I'm so grateful that everyone was here today with me. Thank you so much. I wonder, if anyone wants to share if this was helpful or in any way. If you're not going through anything like this and you know of somebody that this might be helpful for them to, just have the support of this video, please share it. I would love for you to share it. Todd just waved. He has to go into a meeting, so he will not be able to say goodbye properly, but he did want me to say goodbye for him. And Marilyn says, thank you for sharing. Well, thank you for being here. And I do have all this beautiful food out because this is also something that I want to surround myself with during this time. Beautiful colors of the rainbow, things that are going to keep the inflammation at bay. While we were traveling, a lot of people were sick and coughing and sniffling and blowing their nose. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm never going to get a cold or get sick, but eating this way, especially when dealing with grief or things unexpected, like, my dad not doing well and then passing, I think really played a part in helping my immune system stay strong through all the traveling and not sleeping, and even the good part of the trip, right? Traveling with the good part of the trip, the first part, and late nights and just being off schedule and not being in the place where I normally am. I just welcome you to think about food and how it plays, the huge roles that it plays in so many aspects of our life, right? Through healing. And when I say healing, it could be healing from grief. It could be healing from a cold. It could be healing from small fiber neuropathy, from inflammation, from sinus issues, from arthritis, from autoimmune, from lupus, from anything. And if you have this beautiful array of natural anti-inflammatories that are going to help you through the good times, through the not so good times, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? turn to this stuff. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Turn to the good stuff. And just learning about the delicious, I mean, that bite, that was so good. Delicious flavors, and the ability to taste is so awesome too. And it helps me. And so I hope this helped you today. John Jew, let's see. Chef Valerie Wilson says, your display of colorful vegetables is beautiful. Thank you so much. And John Jew, welcome. If I didn't get a chance to say hello earlier, thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your heart is always appreciated. My prayers are with you. Thank you. And Chef Valerie Wilson, I see turmeric root. Yes, turmeric root right here, one of her favorites. And I have a big piece right now. I cut off a little bit here, and we have ginger, anti-inflammatories that are amazing. So all I want to say to you is thank you. Don't forget to eat your greens, and please give plants a chance. Know that I'm here for you. Thank you for being here for me. Gosh, I am so touched and honored and blessed, and I just appreciate everything. So because Todd isn't here, I'm going to have to go on the other side of the camera to end the call. But I just want to say thank you. God bless. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Chef. Thank you, everyone. Marilyn Dubin says, I hope talking about your dad, remembering all the wonderful memories you have, will give you comfort. And it does. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, he's back? You're back?
Yourself.
Okay, come here.
Oh, wait.
Say goodbye to everybody. I was just signing off. And I said that you had to go to a meeting, but for whatever reason, you're here and you can say goodbye in person.
I did. My meeting got rescheduled. So yes, goodbye. Thank you all for your love, for your support, for your kindness.
Yes.
And just for being there for Jennifer and loving her as much as I do, or like I do, or maybe.
And for you too.
Well,
and for all of you. Yes, we want to be here for all of you. So,
yep.
Okay. We already said it, but we could say it again. Don't forget to eat your greens.
And
give plants a chance. We'll see you next time, everyone.
All right. Take care now.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm going to finish eating this yummy pepper. Bye, everyone.